moment the tension exploded, nobody in that room expected things to spiral the way they did. 50 Cent had barely finished speaking when the energy shifted, and suddenly every eye was locked on King Harris and T.I. standing across from him. The atmosphere felt thick, like the calm before a storm, and everyone could sense that this was no longer just words being thrown around. 50 Cent had been calling people out for weeks, dropping names, stirring drama, and making it clear that he wasn't afraid of anyone in the industry. But this time things felt different because King Harris wasn't backing down, and T.I. wasn't about to let anyone disrespect his family. The room filled with shouting, cameras started coming out, and people knew something serious was about to go down between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. 50 Cent stepped forward first, his voice loud and confident as always, repeating the same accusations that had been circulating online. 50 Cent kept bringing up King Harris's name, mocking him and questioning his reputation. King Harris looked furious, his face tight with anger as he fired back at 50 Cent. The argument escalated fast because neither 50 Cent nor King Harris had any intention of calming down. T.I. stood right beside King Harris, watching every move that 50 Cent made. People around them tried to step in, but it was already too late because the situation had reached the point where nobody wanted to back down anymore. As the shouting got louder, 50 Cent pointed directly at King Harris, repeating insults that instantly set him off. King Harris rushed forward, and the crowd gasped because everyone knew what was coming next. T.I. stepped in at the same moment, trying to control the chaos but also standing firmly behind his son. The argument turned physical in seconds. People began yelling, chairs scraped against the floor, and phones came out everywhere as witnesses realized they were watching something huge unfold between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. 50 Cent tried to hold his ground, throwing his hands up defensively as King Harris came at him. The scuffle quickly turned messy because multiple people got involved trying to separate them. T.I. kept shouting at 50 Cent, warning him that he had pushed things too far this time. But 50 Cent refused to back down. Even while people tried to hold him back, 50 Cent continued yelling directly at King Harris and T.I., making it clear he wasn't intimidated by either of them. The pushing and grabbing intensified as security tried to rush in. King Harris lunged again toward 50 Cent, and the two briefly locked up while people struggled to pull them apart. T.I. moved closer, shouting instructions and trying to keep the situation from spiraling completely out of control. But by that point, emotions were boiling over, and the entire room had turned into a chaotic scene where nobody seemed to have control anymore. During the struggle, 50 Cent suddenly stumbled backward. At first people thought he had simply lost his balance during the chaos, but then a shout rang out that immediately changed the mood of the room. Someone yelled that 50 Cent's arm looked wrong. Cameras zoomed in, and witnesses started whispering that 50 Cent might actually be injured. Even in the middle of the shouting, people noticed that 50 Cent was holding his arm tightly, his face showing a flash of pain that he tried to hide. King Harris continued shouting at 50 Cent from across the room while people held him back. T.I. stepped between them, trying to keep the situation from escalating further now that 50 Cent appeared to be hurt. But the damage had already been done. Word spread through the crowd instantly that 50 Cent might have suffered a serious injury during the fight with King Harris, and T.I. 50 Cent refused to show weakness even as he clutched his arm. He kept yelling back at King Harris, insisting that the fight wasn't over. But the people around him were more concerned about the injury that was becoming impossible to ignore. The tension in the room shifted from pure aggression to shock as witnesses realized that the confrontation between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. had turned into something far more serious than anyone expected. Security finally forced some space between everyone, but the shouting continued from both sides of the room. King Harris kept pointing toward 50 Cent, clearly furious about everything that had been said before the fight broke out. T.I. looked equally angry, pacing back and forth while trying to keep his son from charging forward again. Meanwhile, 50 Cent stood surrounded by people who were urging him to step away and get medical attention. Even as the chaos slowly started settling down, the drama between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. was far from over. People inside the room were already posting videos online, and within minutes the internet began lighting up with rumors about the wild fight. Some clips showed the moment King Harris rushed toward 50 Cent, while others captured T.I. shouting during the confrontation. But the most shocking detail spreading across social media was the claim that 50 Cent's arm might actually be broken. As more footage started circulating, fans began arguing about what really happened between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. Some people blamed 50 Cent for provoking the situation with his constant insults. Others claimed King Harris had gone too far by turning the argument into a physical fight. And then there were those who believed T.I. should have stepped in sooner to stop things before 50 Cent ended up injured. Inside the building, the tension still hadn't completely faded. 50 Cent kept talking loudly despite the injury, repeating that he wasn't scared of King Harris or T.I. King Harris shouted back from across the room, promising that this situation wasn't finished yet. T.I. watched both men carefully, knowing that the feud between 50 Cent and King Harris had now exploded into something that the entire industry would be talking about. Paramedics were eventually called as concern about 50 Cent's arm grew more serious. People gathered around as they checked on him, and whispers spread that the injury might actually be worse than it first looked. King Harris stood nearby, still arguing with people who were trying to calm him down. T.I. remained focused on controlling the situation, but it was obvious that the confrontation with 50 Cent had crossed a line that couldn't easily be undone. By the time 50 Cent was escorted out, the crowd was still buzzing with disbelief. What started as a heated argument between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. had turned into a wild fight that left one of the biggest names in hip-hop possibly injured. Videos of the confrontation were already going viral, and everyone knew the fallout from the clash between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. was only just beginning. And as the night finally came to an uneasy end, one thing became clear to everyone who witnessed the chaos. The feud between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. had just reached a level that nobody could ignore anymore, and the next chapter of this explosive drama was guaranteed to be even bigger. The moment news of the fight started spreading outside the building, the entire atmosphere around the situation changed completely. People who had witnessed the chaos between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. began sharing their versions of what happened, and every story seemed to make the incident sound even more explosive. By the time 50 Cent was being escorted out while holding his arm, rumors were already flying across social media that the confrontation with King Harris and T.I. had turned into one of the wildest celebrity clashes anyone had seen in years. Phones kept buzzing, cameras kept rolling, and the drama between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. was quickly becoming the biggest topic in hip-hop circles. Outside the venue, a crowd had already gathered because word had spread that something serious had happened inside involving 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. As soon as 50 Cent stepped out surrounded by security, people started shouting questions, trying to get any reaction from him. Even though he was clearly protecting his arm, 50 Cent refused to look weak. He kept his head high, moving through the crowd with the same confident energy that had made him famous. But those who were standing close enough noticed that 50 Cent's arm didn't look right, which only fueled the rumors that the fight with King Harris and T.I. had actually left him seriously injured. Inside the building, King Harris was still heated about everything that had happened. Friends and security guards were trying to calm him down, but King Harris kept repeating that 50 Cent had disrespected him for the last time. Every time someone mentioned 50 Cent's name, King Harris's anger flared up again. T.I. stood nearby watching carefully, knowing that the situation had already gone way too far. T.I. understood that once videos of the clash between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. reached the internet, the entire world would start dissecting every moment of the fight. Within an hour, the first clips finally started appearing online. A short video showed the exact moment King Harris rushed toward 50 Cent during the heated argument. Another video captured T.I. shouting while trying to control the chaos around him. Fans immediately began debating who was actually responsible for the fight between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. Some viewers claimed 50 Cent had provoked the situation with his constant insults, while others insisted King Harris had overreacted by turning the confrontation physical. Meanwhile, 50 Cent had been taken away to get his arm checked. Even while dealing with the injury, 50 Cent remained defiant. People close to him said that 50 Cent kept talking about the fight with King Harris and T.I., replaying every moment in his head. According to witnesses, 50 Cent believed King Harris had crossed a line by attacking him, and he wasn't planning to stay silent about it. Anyone who knows 50 Cent knows that he never lets drama slide quietly, especially when it involves his reputation. Back at the venue, the tension between King Harris and T.I. began shifting into serious conversation. T.I. pulled King Harris aside and started talking to him privately about what had just happened with 50 Cent. T.I. knew the situation could turn into a massive public controversy if it wasn't handled carefully. King Harris listened but still looked furious. The disrespect he felt from 50 Cent had clearly pushed him over the edge. And even after the fight was over, King Harris still felt like the issue wasn't settled. As the night went on, more witnesses began speaking out about the confrontation between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. Some claimed that the tension had been building for days before the fight even happened. According to people close to the situation, 50 Cent had been making comments that irritated King Harris long before the two came face to face that night. When the moment finally arrived and the argument started, it didn't take much for everything to explode. On social media, fans began choosing sides in the conflict between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. Some supporters of 50 Cent argued that he had simply been speaking his mind like he always does, and that King Harris should have handled things differently. Others defended King Harris, saying that nobody should expect him to tolerate constant disrespect. T.I.'s name also kept trending because people were debating whether he had tried to stop the fight or had supported King Harris during the confrontation with 50 Cent. While the internet argued, 50 Cent was already planning his next move. Anyone familiar with 50 Cent knows he rarely stays quiet after drama like this. Even with the possibility that his arm might be broken, people close to 50 Cent said he was already thinking about how to respond to King Harris and T.I. publicly. Some believed 50 Cent might address the situation directly online, while others suspected he might respond through music or interviews. King Harris, on the other hand, was also receiving a flood of attention after the fight, with 50 Cent messages poured in from fans, critics, and people in the music industry asking about what really happened between him, 50 Cent, and T.I. Some praised King Harris for standing up for himself, while others warned that fighting someone as influential as 50 Cent could create serious problems. T.I. found himself caught in the middle of the entire situation. As both a respected artist and a father, T.I. had to think carefully about how the confrontation with 50 Cent would affect his family and his reputation. People close to T.I. said he was already discussing the incident with advisors, trying to decide the best way to respond now that the clash between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. had become headline news. By the next morning, the story had spread everywhere. Blogs, fan pages, and entertainment channels were all discussing the same shocking fight between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. Every new video clip seemed to add another layer to the drama. Some footage showed the heated argument moments before King Harris rushed forward, while other clips captured the chaotic scene after 50 Cent appeared to injure his arm. Despite everything that had already happened, one thing was becoming obvious to everyone watching the situation unfold. The fight between 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. was far from finished. What started as an argument had now turned into a massive public feud, and both sides were feeling the pressure from fans and the media. And as the world waited to see what 50 Cent would say next, people close to King Harris and T.I. were also preparing for the possibility that the conflict could escalate even further. Because when strong personalities like 50 Cent, King Harris, and T.I. collide, the story rarely ends quietly. Instead, the drama usually grows bigger, louder, and far more unpredictable with every passing day.